Where do I find the deals? What the heck is a good one?
Yeah, so okay, you talk to the cash buyers, you figure out where they want to buy. They're going to tell you what's a good deal. You can ask them like, what's their minimum profit they're looking for on a deal. Hey, do you use any formulas, any specific deal calculators you use? I've had cash buyers send me their deal calculators, how they analyze deals. And so now I'm seeing the exact numbers that they input. And I know whether it's a good deal or bad deal because does it fit their numbers or not? And I won't go into like all the questions that we asked there. We have created a free resource, so I'll put that in the description for anyone who wants their cash buyer script on exactly what to say. And so now let's go into finding these deals, right? Let's say you found these cash buyers, you find out what they want. How do we find these deals, right? So we use, what we love is the MLS. It's a database, it's a software created and maintained by real estate professionals. And this is where all of the properties that are on the market listed by real estate agents are uploaded to. Every day there's properties uploaded to it. So you want to get access to the MLS. So in certain counties, you can get access to it if you're unlicensed by getting assistant access. An agent grants you access to it. You can get clerical access, the same thing as assistant access, or you become licensed to get access to it. Or there's other ways too. Sometimes an agent will just give you access to their MLS and you can use it. So it's a database of all these leads on the market. And if you want to be a serious real estate investor, there's no better database and software than that, 100%, okay? Let me make it easier for you though. Let's say you're like, hey man, I just want to get started right now. I don't want to talk to any real estate agents about getting access to the MLS and you don't want to get your real estate license. Let's just use redfin.com, for example. So redfin.com, very smart website. It's a real estate brokerage. And a lot of the times, the properties that are listed on the MLS for sale on the open market are going to be put onto Redfin because these agents can click a button that says syndicate, put it on realtor.com, redfin.com. So what we like to do when we look at properties on Redfin, let's say you pull up San Diego County, for example, there's a few ways to do it. What I always like to do is let me just sort through all the new listings on a day-to-day basis in the last 24 hours, and I'm going to see the ones that look distressed in that distressed condition, and I'm going to read the description as well, right? Just like that property we looked at. It said fixer-upper, it's an investment property. That's what I want to call on. I'm not going to go look at the photos of a property that's beautifully renovated. It says, hey, this is perfect for the first-time home buyer, move in with your kids, it's move-in ready. That's not a distressed property. So this particular strategy of looking at listings that are listed within the first 24 hours, we call this our day zero strategy because it's less than 1 day. And this has been one of our most powerful strategies to acquire wholesale and flip deals and even buy and hold deals from the MLS, from on the market. And you then want to find, maybe today, for example, there'd be 10 distressed properties that were listed today that we see. And then you sort those 10 properties through the ones that look the most distressed because the properties that are the most distressed with the most issues, you're going to be able to get the steepest discount. Right. So now I'm going to call on that particular property first, call on that real estate agent first. And I'm not going to have you analyze the property and spend hours and hours analyzing it first. I want you to call that real estate agent, introduce yourself, let them know you're an investor and a buyer in the area, ask them if they're open and willing to represent you because you're a buyer, not a real estate agent. And what that does is influence them to go with your offer because now they'll make twice as much commission if they accept your offer. And if we can break that down if you want to talk about that. And now we're inquiring about the property, right? What's the condition like of it, right? Do the pictures actually match what's going on? Because what some people will do is they'll find a property, they won't call the agent, they'll look at the listing and they'll wait a week and they'll be like, oh, I got this deal and if they would have called that agent same day, they would have found out that, hey, actually an hour after it was listed, it was actually under contract already, and the agent just waited to, just forgot to mark it as pending and under contract. Yeah. So now they spent a whole week dreaming about this deal, didn't call on it, then they call on it, and you know what? For 6 of those 7 days, majority of them, it wasn't even available. Yeah. So what we want to do is call these agents very quickly, speed's the name of the game, get in front of them, understand about the property, understand that yes, this is going to go to an investor. And then what I always do from that first initial call is say, great, let me go ahead and analyze this property with my team and I'll be able to get back to you as soon as possible, all right? Because what most amateurs will do is they'll fumble on this first phone call, they'll throw out a random number that they can't stick to. They'll have to backtrack on it. You know, they get it for, oh, I'll buy it for, you know, the list price, $500,000, right?
Yeah.
And then you actually look at it and you're like, dang, I need it for 450.
Yeah.
And now you're already backtracking. So
Not a good look then, right?
oh, it's not a good look. Yeah, you're already threw out the first number and you're asking for a $50,000 discount.
Yeah.
Whereas, let's say in that situation, right? Because we acquire tons of properties below the list price. If it's $500,000, it's not uncommon to get it under contract at $400,000. The list price is arbitrary. It's flexible and negotiable. So if you throw out that price, you get them excited about a high list price, and then you call them an hour later and say, "Oh my gosh, sorry, I actually have to do it at $450." You're shooting yourself in the foot. So that first call, right? We're calling the agent, we're inquiring about the deal, letting them know, "Hey, I'll be able to get back to you as soon as possible after I meet with my team and analyze this deal and see exactly where we can come in at to make this work today." Now, once you talk to the agent, you have a positive conversation, you confirmed it's distressed property, you confirm it's going all cash, they tell you more about the property, what's actually going on with it. They may even tell you the seller's motivation. That's what we always like to dig into, the seller's motivation. Why are they looking to sell? Because now we can play to that and actually fulfill on that, be a solutions provider for that particular seller. For example, if they need a quick close on the property and need to rent the property back for 30 days, instead of us kicking their butts out of the property, hey, more than happy, we can purchase this property, we'll rent it back to the seller for 30 days. If they need to stay 45 days, that's completely fine. So now we're being a solutions provider, helping out the seller through their issues and what they're afraid is going to happen if they just go with a random buyer and fulfilling on those needs. But after that first initial phone call, now at this particular point, now I want you to analyze the deal. Because now you've confirmed that's a deal worth analyzing. As opposed to the person that finds all these deals, analyzes tens, dozens of deals, never makes a phone call. Or maybe they find 10 deals, they analyze it, and you call 5 hours later, but there's someone else who beats you to the punch at the same exact offer price because they're doing it the way that I told you to do it. Call the agent first, verify, now analyze it. It's a hot lead.
Yeah.
Now analyze it and then call back the agent as soon as possible.
I was very sad because the house that I found on Redfin was pending within a couple days. So speed is real. Yeah, I didn't actually realize it until I saw that, and it was like, okay, well, who would want to buy this like distressed house? But then I realized it's like a lot of people, and you have to be fast,
Yeah, and so that most likely went to a wholesaler fix and flipper, that property. And that's when, we can then check the tax records, look at it, we can confirm that. And that's when the question you have to ask after that is like, why not me? Why can't I do that?
Right.
And you absolutely can do that.
Yeah.
Really quick question on the calling the agent.
Yeah.
How would you introduce yourself the same way you would introduce yourself to like a cash buyer?
Great question. So, okay, I do not say I'm a wholesaler to a real estate agent. Never say that. You don't want to say that because there's a lot of people that are amateur wholesalers, have no idea what they're doing. They watch a 20-second TikTok video and then try this, and they don't know what they're doing, and they're 16 years old, and they say I'm a wholesaler, and they waste everyone's time. So you don't say you're a wholesaler to a real estate agent. And I don't consider this lying at all. Like wholesaling, just so everyone understands, has been going on since the beginning of time, right? There's, like, I've friends that are attorneys that wholesale commercial properties and office buildings. They just call it an assignment of contract. The general name for it's wholesaling. So you don't even have to label yourself as a wholesaler. The way I look at myself as a real estate investor, I've been wholesaling and fixing and flipping from a very young age. So I've always looked at myself as a buyer, as an investor, and I recommend every single person looks at themselves as this way. Because if you tell a real estate agent you're a wholesaler, what you're telling them is you're not the decision maker. And they want to talk to decision makers. When you say, hey, I'm a buyer and investor, you're implying that you are the decision maker. And so it's all these little things, right? You automatically, if anyone's listening to this and wants to wholesale real estate, if you're telling real estate agents that you're a wholesaler and you haven't got any deals, that's probably one of the biggest reasons why.
Yeah.
So you're Tim, hey, you're a buyer and investor, right? So that's what you say.
Yeah, got it. Which I am, or hope to be after the end of this, right?
Yeah, and it's like, you are an investor, you've invested in the stocks and everything along those lines. And I also believe it's like, you're not going to become a real estate investor until you see yourself as one.
Right.
So if you're telling yourself every single day, I'm not a real estate investor, I'm not a real estate investor, I'm not a real estate investor, and like you're not saying you're a real estate investor and you're telling other people you're not a real estate investor, you're probably not going to become a real estate investor. You say I'm a real estate investor, and like to yourself, your self-talk is like, I'm looking at these properties, I'm going to find my next deal, I'm going to find a profitable deal. Like, I'm a real estate investor. This is why I'm reading the books. This is why I'm taking the courses. This is why I'm getting the coaches. This is why I'm doing this. This is why I'm taking my daily actions. Then I believe you are a real estate investor. And so the more you believe that you are one, and I'm a real estate investor without a doubt, like start believing like that without a doubt. Because even before I did my first deal, I believed that without a doubt. Just like anyone who's successful in anything, they have to believe that they can be that thing without a doubt. Mm-hmm. So, you know, and if someone's listening to this and aren't capable of doing that, then they need to work on their own self-talk. They need to work on their own mindset. They need to work on their self-concept and their self-image. That's very, very, very important.
Yeah.
I mean, confidence is a huge thing, and it's, you know, another one of the big barriers that I have. Mm-hmm. You know, it's because I don't have a backing in this. I basically feel like I'm going into an interview without any credentials, a blank resume. You know, so I mean, what advice do you have for somebody like that who is just trying to get over that hump?
Yeah, just get started. It's reps. Yeah. You know. Like I thought about getting into jiu-jitsu and martial art for a long time, and thinking about it never got me anywhere. You have to change your relationship with rejection and failure. You know, anytime we try something new, and this is why I last year did a ton of triathlons. Like, do you think I like swimming for 30 minutes straight at full pace? I don't. I absolutely hate it, but I do it because I was never a swimmer. I wasn't trained to be a swimmer, and I like challenging myself and doing things that I absolutely stink at. So I always have that beginner's mindset and be like, oh yeah, it's whenever you try something new, it's going to stink,
right.
You know, and you're going to do things the wrong way, and then you figure out how to do it the right way. So I encourage you just to get started. Once you know the steps and what you need to do the first step, find a cash buyer. Do you know how long that takes to find a cash buyer? Like 1 minute. 1 minute you can do it.
I was going to say hours, but.
Yeah, so I would, no, 1 minute, dude. So you can force yourself to call this cash buyer, and then you're going to be scared, you're going to be nervous, and then you're like, oh, like that was a fine conversation. And now you're stacking, like you're like, oh my gosh, I'm thinking about this all the wrong way.
Right.
Like, yeah. You know, I build this cash buyer up as someone that doesn't want to talk to me, doesn't want these deals. Like you could be the knight in shining armor for a cash buyer that saves their business, that brings them. I brought dozens of deals to cash buyers throughout the years.
Yeah.
And it's one of the most profitable investments for them, paying me wholesale fees. It's one of the main ways they get deals.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm changing their life and their kids' lives and their families' lives. So it's understanding that you have the ability to do that too. You have an extreme amount of value, and just once you have enough knowledge, you're never gonna have 100% knowledge of anything. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
As long as what I like to think, you know, I have 51% of the knowledge that I know. Hey, I know all the steps, I know what I need to say. I don't know exactly what to say, but I got the script, I know how to find them. I have a phone, I know how to type in a phone number, I know how to talk. Damn, I'm 95% of what I need to do.
Right.
Let me just go do it. Once you feel like you have that knowledge, then it's just about doing it.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. The worst thing that's gonna happen, you talk to a cash buyer, they say, no, I don't wanna work with you. It's the worst thing that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So if that's the worst thing that's gonna happen, you gotta realize that. Everyone has to realize that and understand it's like, okay, if you can't handle that, if your ego can't handle that, entrepreneurship, investing probably isn't gonna be, you know, for you, and you have to be able to get over that. You have to, like a lot of people stay inside their comfort zone, and it's because their own ego, whether they know it or not, can't handle stepping outside their comfort zone and getting that rejection. So you have to be willing to get a bruised ego. You have to be willing to put yourself out there a little bit, knowing that the worst thing that's going to happen is someone says, no, I don't want to work with you.
Worst they can say is no, right? Yeah.
And in wholesaling, right, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm putting these $500,000 properties under contract. The worst thing that happens is you cancel a contract. That's the worst thing that happens. And you're not liable, you're not obligated by this property because you back out of the contract because you have contingencies. Mm-hmm. So people are afraid, oh my gosh, what happens if I don't find a buyer? You back out of the contract. So you have to understand what's the very worst thing that can happen and be fine with that.
Yeah.
You know, because it's not really bad.
Yeah.
And I would say the more that worst thing that happens, the more successful you're going to be.
Yeah.
I didn't get to where I am today by not failing, right? I got where the first deal I put under contract, I didn't close. And all that did was provide feedback on, I need to find better deals and better cash buyers and get better with my numbers.
How many deals did you do before you closed your first one?
It was relatively quickly of the first, well, first I tried like a lot of off-market strategies and wasted a lot of time doing that, and would drive downtown San Diego, get probate records, write the mailers, and put out bandit signs, or fill calls from bandit signs, and like that, I generated conversations, but not really offers. And then the first deal I wanted to call on the MLS, I did put it under contract. It didn't work out, and I believe it was that very next one that I did put under contract, and it actually did work out. So that was also a big changing point for me too, right? Because I heard off market, on market, and I was like, let me try this on market thing, because the seller's already motivated, they want to sell. So it was actually the second contract that I put under contract that worked out.
Be on the lookout for the next video in this series. And if you want to build a hyper-profitable wholesaling and flipping business, then check out my full in-depth training at realestateskills.com/watch. See you there, and happy wholesaling.